Yo yo yo, it's Venomous Stare back with exciting StarCraft 2 action. This time we have Terran versus Zerg between two NA players that are very fun to watch. In the bottom left of Proxima Station we have King Foxer, otherwise known as Foxer. This is the North American aggressive bio-Terran. This is not Marine King Prime, although that is the origin of his name. He's facing off against Neuro, a very good player whose name I always have to think about before I say because those vowels trip me up a bit, and it's Neuro, like neurosurgeon. And Neuro actually has a really interesting stream. Foxer has a stream too, but Neuro I think really is one of the most consistent streamers in the StarCraft 2 scene. He reads chat constantly. He's really fun to watch. He actually gives out free replays in his chat, which is how we are seeing this game, so shout out to Neuro. Reaper Expand is going to be the choice here for Foxer. Notice he leaves room here for an add-on and a second depot, so he won't have to waste any time lifting for no reason. Neuro has taken his natural out here. A lot of people do this because it helps them start spreading creep. And what I mean by that is if you take your natural here, then you either don't spread creep at all, or you're kind of obligated to either put a tumor here and start walking it down. Like that's 3 whole tumor shots. You know, and anytime there's a ramp, spreading creep becomes a little bit more annoying. That's way less true in Legacy of the Void than it was in the past. But the most important thing here is Neuro, as soon as this queen comes out, he can lay a tumor down with his first 25 energy if he wants. The Reaper is out here for Foxer. Notice that Foxer is just going to go for some Hellions, it looks like. Neuro has pulled off of gas, so it's just mineral income for him, which is nice to see because that means he will be able to crank out queens and drones. Another advantage of taking your natural down here is the queen is able to defend the Reaper better, and he might actually get it. Ooh, it's very close and it barely gets away. So that sucks for Neuro because the Reaper of course does have passive health regeneration, and whenever you couple a Reaper with Hellions it can actually become pretty damn annoying just because of the way that the Reaper synergizes with the Hellions. It can kind of scout out in front of the Hellions, it can throw grenades down. It's good with the Hellions because the Reaper is a very good unit in terms of kiting. Like you can shoot and run back for days and days, and the Hellions are so fast where oftentimes having a fast unit to complement the Hellions can really help them get the job done. And you usually see this in the early game, like Hellions are accompanied with a Reaper, and that's usually because the Reaper Expand is so common and there's really no reason to lose that Reaper as we see the third base about to finish. And when I said the Hellions are usually accompanied with fast units, I really meant specifically the Reaper, but sometimes we do see the Cyclone too. Neuro is starting to work away at this back base. Notice he has a creep tumor here going up into his main. He will probably spread this here and then connect his natural. And he's starting to spread the creep out. 4 Hellions are going to come up here, but Neuro has queens and lings already. The Hellions might go in here. This is very risky. If they get caught, it'll be very bad. And Foxer goes deep onto creep, and oh, that is so bad. He loses all of his Sweet Tooth Hellions, and for what? For what? He is so far behind. So 9 drones on the way for Neuro. And our Zerg friend, Neuro, is going to take double Evo Chamber as well. So let's look at Neuro's reaction immediately following stomping out that Hellion pressure. As double upgrades, Stim Pack, and 3cc is on the way for Foxer. This guy is definitely a dropping bio-Terran who likes 3cc and double upgrade, which in my opinion this is one of the funnest styles to watch. Are very marine intensive players like Foxer who really excel with marine micro. So it will be bio here as we see the double eBay, mines, and I'm sure medevacs will soon follow. And Foxer is just going to want to get up to a nice 3 base economy and start to pressure Neuro. But the fact that he lost those Hellions that early on is terrible, because he actually did a swap from his factory, so after he made those initial 4 Hellions, there were no more coming, which makes losing them even worse, as we see Neuro taking his 4th. The creep spread is almost all the way down to the 4th. Notice that the creep spread is even back here, as a lot of Terran players will try to drop down here, sometimes with tanks, or they'll drop right here and then fly down and drop here. Sometimes they'll have a medevac here and then another one down on the low ground, so having creep spread out here is very important. Liquid TLO once said that creep spread was the most important element of Zerg versus Terran. And there are several reasons for this. First and foremost, vision. Anytime you aggress upon Zerg, they need time to be able to react so they can make aggressive units, because Zerg is unique. Unlike Protoss and Terran, they don't just consistently make workers throughout the game. They have to make a choice, since all of their units comes from the hatchery. Really, they kind of have to pick and choose, as we see Foxer trying to get some dropping done here. But whenever you lose Hellions, you allow Zerg to run absolutely hog wild with their creep spread, because you have nothing to limit the tumors or threaten a run by. So Foxer, he's like, oh my god, there's already creep out to this 4th, there's no way I can kill it. Intelligently, he focus fires the creep tumors, but he will be forced to run away, and the mines will do minimal damage. Nice micro there, not to lose the mines, as Neuro did in fact have an Overseer coming. Notice Lings are in the base here, the main base for Neuro, excuse me. I don't know why it is so hard for me to pronounce this guy's name. It's not that it's like hard to pronounce, like the word itself, as you see creep spread being cleaned up here and 2 queens going down. Now that's a bit annoying, but Neuro has a ton of queens. It's more of the phonetics of the word, like the EU, EURO, I don't know. It really messes me up mentally for some reason. Neuro is still on layer tech. Notice he did make this pretty damn early macro hatch. This is great, as we see Neuro also has Spire, so he's getting 2-2 Baneling speed, +1, and mutas. This is the classic quintessential Zerg mid-game versus Terran army composition, where Zerg has kind of survived the initial little cavalcade of units, and now they're going to tech into muta and start to try to get into the driver's seat themselves. Nice wall in here for Foxer is going to prevent this little run by. Great attempt there for the Zerg player, because very often, especially aggressive Terrans, love to just rally stuff at you. And what I mean by that is players like Foxer, who are incredibly good at these marine parade push styles and just brute force micro, love to get their quick 3cc. Ooh, and we see a little engagement going down as the drops are discovered by the mutas. So what you can do to players who love to just hammer away at you with constant aggression is to do Ling counterattacks at their 3rd. Now Proxima is god-awful for this because of the fact that there's a pocket base, and the 3rd is essentially like a natural as far as how easy it is to defend. Lots of turrets on the way here for the Terran player, and 2 mines on the way. Notice that this gold base is being blocked by the Zerg player. Very good stuff. 2-2 is about finished for the Zerg. He will have an advantage over the Terran. Both players are blocking the gold base. This is very smart, especially for the Zerg, because it's very common for Terran just to make their 4th right here, float it over and make a PF. Biomine is continuing to be produced for the Terran player, Foxer. But Hive is the choice for the Zerg. He also has Overlord speed, and notice how far his creep has gotten. Anytime the Terran wants to pressure the Zerg, it's just going to be highly telegraphed, excuse me. That is to say, the Zerg will know exactly what's going on. It will be rather obvious, and even if he's caught off guard, he'll be able to pull back and make units and really get his shit together. And of course the speed boost is essential, because you're not really going to be able to make decent connections. And Neuro might go for a surround here, call it Neuro surgery, because this is an actually phenomenal surround from lots of different angles. But really, that was just a feign. Like, King Foxer's like, oh, I did okay, I held, even though it looked like a scary surround. Well, this is really the crux of the issue, is the fact that the mutas are now in the main. And Foxer says, shit, I just have to counterattack. I can't run all the way back, because he's already done damage. Of course, he would just run away if Foxer ran all the way back. And then Foxer would be in this weird scenario where he's really delayed. Foxer, ooh, beautiful splits there. And the American Terran is pressing forward here, but his production is being camped. More Banes just finished here, and the Queen Transfuse comes down. Lots of Marauders here for Foxer to soak up the hits, but it looks like the Zerg player will push him back. And back in the main of Foxer, the reinforcements have been cut off, but a ton of mutas have died. And almost most importantly of all, 3-3 has been started for the Zerg. This is really the turning point of ZvT more often than not when it comes down to a macro game. Neuro also has an Ultra Cavern on the way, as well as Infestors, so the Zerg player is in a superior position to go into the late game. +1 attack is on the way for Foxer. He really needs to start that +2 defense, but he's trying to take his 4th, and with creep spread in the same screen as the 4th base, it will be very difficult to maintain that 4th base, even if it becomes a planetary, which it is trying to do. And there is a ton of dropping space right here, so notice the Zerg player always left Lings patrolling, and he made static defense. If you know your opponent likes to drop, and you know the map is good for dropping, leave some of your units behind in your main and make a spore. It's actually way better than just trying to make mass static. Like, notice what Neuro did was he made a couple spores to prevent the medevacs from just doing whatever they wanted, but then he left army. Because if you just try to make pure static defense, Terran Bio, especially upgraded Marauders, will just rip through it. Foxer's going to press up here, but there is a huge supply advantage for the Zerg player, and he has Infestors and Ultras are about to pop. And actually, they're already popped as he's going to press forward, and Foxer was about as surprised with those Ultras as I was, as of course the Cavern has been done for a while. But if we go to units, there they are. The skins throw me off so bad, guys. I'm used to a very specific portrait, and whenever I just glance at the unit tab and it's not there, whoo, throws me off more than our boy Neuro's name. And good luck trying to get me to say that in the plural form. But I'm going to keep featuring his games because he's such a great guy and I like his stream so much. And it looks as though he's going to crush Foxer here, as Foxer, after losing those Hellions, really has just been kind of on the back foot. And even though he pressured in the mid game, there was just so much creep spread, it was impossible for the Root Zerg to be caught off guard. And a beautiful game there. The Zerg player from Root will be attending DreamHack Austin. Hopefully you guys can look forward to that, and if you like this, subscribe for more, leave a like rating.